Hello, thanks for joining us today.
In this podcast, we focus on making the Bible easy to understand with references to today's world. We hope that you stay with us and enjoy our interpretations.
Let's jump in and get started. Shall we?
And that is exactly why you never, ever ignore a group of hikers in the middle of a 100-degree desert afternoon. Seriously, Stephanie, if I see three guys standing in the shimmering heat while I'm trying to take a siesta in the shade, my first thought isn't, hey, let me run a literal marathon to cook them a 5-star steak dinner. My first thought is, I hope they have their own water. But Abraham? He hits the ground sprinting.
John, I'm with you. I can barely handle a 3-minute walk to the mailbox in July. But welcome back, everyone, to Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. I'm Stephanie Dalton, and I'm here with John Dalton. It is day 6, and we are looking at Genesis 18 through 21. And John, you're right. Abraham's energy in Genesis 18 is next level. He's about 99 or 100 years old. It's the heat of the day, and he sees 3 men standing nearby. And the text says he ran to meet them.
He didn't just walk. He sprinted. And this is the ultimate modern mirror. It's like a world-class episode of Undercover Boss. Abraham sees 3 strangers, but the reader knows something he doesn't quite realize yet. One of these men is actually the Lord himself in human form.
This is that word you taught me, right? A theophany?
Bingo! Time for our 5th grade rule translation. A theophany is just a fancy way of saying God showing up in a body. In the Old Testament, since Jesus hadn't been born yet, God would sometimes log in to a physical form so he could have a face-to-face chat with his people.
Log in. I love that. But Abraham treats them like VIPs. He asks Sarah to bake bread using 3 C's of fine flour. John, I looked that up. That's about 20 quarts of flour. That's enough bread to feed a small army, not 3 hikers. And then he picks out a choice and good calf. He is going all out.
He is giving the top shelf service. It's the ancient version of a Michelin star experience in the middle of a desert. But the context here is about more than just a meal. These guests have come for a specific reason, to give a delivery date for the promise.
And Sarah is eavesdropping. She's standing at the tent door, listening in, and when she hears the Lord say, I will surely return, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son, she laughs to herself. But it's not a ha-ha funny laugh, is it?
No, it's a system error laugh. It's the laughter of a woman whose faith app has crashed too many times. She looks at her 90-year-old self. She looks at her 100-year-old husband, and she thinks, yeah, right. The signal is dead. That's impossible.
I feel for her, though. She's been waiting 25 years. That's a quarter of a century of lag time. And when God calls her out on it, she gets scared and lies. She's like, I didn't laugh. And the Lord just gives her the most direct, slightly awkward response. No, but you did laugh.
It is the ultimate I see your browser history moment from God. He knows the doubt, but he answers it with the question that anchors our entire year. Is anything too hard for the Lord?
That is the question, isn't it? If we believe God made the biosphere 1.0 and the stars Abram counted, then a 90-year-old mom is just a Tuesday for him.
Exactly. But before the undercover boss leaves, the tone shifts. The guests look towards Sodom. And this is where we see Abraham's heart vibe. He starts a high-stakes negotiation with God for the life of his nephew, Lot.
It's like a human rights auction. Abraham starts at 50 righteous people. Will you destroy the city if there are 50? And he bids it all the way down to 10. John, why 10? Why did he stop there?
Scholars think 10 was the minimum number for a community or a quorum. Abraham is essentially testing the limits of God's mercy. He's asking, is your grace bigger than their glitch? And God says, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it.
It shows such a deep, intimate relationship. God knew Abraham, and that word yada means they were in a deep, personal group chat where they could actually debate the ethics of judgment.
It is. But as we're about to see in the next segment, Sodom didn't even have 10. And when the fire starts falling, we see the difference between walking with God and settling for Sodom.
This is where things get heavy. We're going to talk about the grab of grace and why looking back at your old life can literally turn you into a pillar of salt.
It's the world's first responder rescue mission. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, John, we're back. And if our listeners thought the desert lunch in segment 1 was intense, they need to buckle up. We are in Genesis 19 now, and the Undercover Boss story has taken a really dark turn. Two of those three guests, the angels, head down to Sodom. And they meet Abraham's nephew, Lot.
Yeah, and this isn't the Lot we remember from the real estate dispute a few chapters ago. Genesis 19 verse 1 says, Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. Now, if you're scrolling through this on your phone, you might think he was just hanging out or waiting for a bus. But in the ancient world, sitting at the gate was a major status symbol.
Like he had a VIP pass?
Better than that. It means he was a civic leader. He was basically on the city council. He wasn't just a visitor anymore. He had put down roots in a place that God had already flagged for a major system failure. And Stephanie, the second these angels show up, we see why Sodom was so toxic.
It's a horrifying scene. Lot invites them into his house because he knows the vibe of the square at night is dangerous. And sure enough, the entire city, the text says, all the men of the city, both young and old, surround the house. They want to know these guests. And John, we need a fifth-grade rule here because knowing in this context is a lot more aggressive than just exchange names.
It is the ultimate violation of hospitality. They wanted to humiliate and assault these strangers. It shows a culture that has completely lost its moral compass. But here's the part that makes me want to scream at the text, Lot's response. He tries to negotiate with the mob by offering his own daughters. It is absolute chaos, Stephanie. It shows how much the Sodom operating system had corrupted his own heart.
That is such a hard part to read. You're telling me this guy is righteous? I think I remember the New Testament calling him that.
2 Peter 2 calls him righteous Lot, who was tormented in his soul by what he saw. But that's the modern mirror for us today. You can be technically saved and still be totally entangled. Lot hated the sin he saw, but he loved the city he lived in. He had what behavioral scientists call status quo bias.
Status quo bias. Is that like when I keep my old phone even though the screen is shattered because I'm too lazy to transfer the data?
Exactly. You know it's broken. You know it's going to fail. But it's familiar. Lot knew Sodom was a nightmare, but it was his nightmare. It was his career, his house, his social standing. So when the angels finally say, hurry, get your family and run, the fire is coming, Lot does the most human thing ever.
He drags his feet. Genesis 19 verse 16 just says, but he hesitated.
He lingered. He dawdled. The sky is literally about to fall, and Lot is probably thinking about his 401k or whether he turned off the oven. He is paralyzed by his attachments. And this leads to the hidden gem of the day, the word hazak.
Hazak? What does that mean in plain English?
It means to grasp, to seize, or to grab firmly. The text says, so the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out.
Wait, so they didn't just lead him out? They literally dragged him?
It was a grab of grace. It's the ultimate first responder move. Imagine a house is on fire and the person inside is trying to save their favorite rug while the roof is collapsing. The firefighter doesn't ask permission anymore. They just grab you by the collar and haul you to safety.
That is so powerful. God's mercy was so big that he literally had to force Lot to be saved because Lot was too glitched to move on his own.
Precisely. But even after the grab, there's a tragedy. They're running toward the hills, and the angels give one rule: do not look back. And we all know what happens next. Lot's wife looks back, and she turns into a pillar of salt.
John, why salt? It feels so random.
Think about what salt does. It's a preservative. By looking back, she was signaling that her heart was still preserved in Sodom. She didn't just glance over her shoulder. She turned back emotionally. She couldn't hit the delete button on her old life. So she became a permanent part of the landscape she refused to leave.
It's like a permanent system freeze. She was stuck in the past, so she couldn't move into the future.
Boom. That's the modern mirror. If you spend all your time scrolling through the old you or the toxic places you used to belong, you're going to get stuck there. You can't walk into a new creation if you're still trying to save the old one.
It's such a heavy ending for Lot's family. They escape the fire, but they end up in a cave, and, well, the story doesn't get any better there, does it?
No, it's a total system crash. They brought the values of Sodom into the cave with them. It reminds us that you can take the person out of Sodom, but only God can take the Sodom out of the person.
Okay, so we've seen the Undercover Boss and the Grab of Grace. But we still have to get to the joyful LOL. Because while Sodom is burning, God is about to hit delivery confirmation on a promise he made 25 years ago.
Oh, Sarah's about to get the last laugh. And this time, it's not a system error. It's a celebration.
I'm ready for some good news. We're going to talk about the birth of Isaac and why Abraham still managed to glitch one more time with Abimelech right after the break.
Don't go anywhere. The delivery confirmation is next. And that is exactly why I tell people that experience doesn't always mean you're getting smarter. Seriously, Stephanie, if I had a nickel for every time I've made the exact same tech mistake twice, I'd be able to buy a new server. But Abraham, he isn't just making a tech mistake. He is running a literal glitch loop. We are in Genesis 20, and he is telling the same "she's my sister" lie that got him kicked out of Egypt years ago. Abraham, buddy, did we learn nothing from the Pharaoh incident?
I know. When I was prepping the research for this chapter, I actually had to double-check my page numbers. I thought I had accidentally flipped back to Genesis 12. Welcome back, everyone. We are finishing up Day 6 of Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. I'm Stephanie Dalton, and I'm here with John Dalton. John, you're right. Genesis 20 is such a facepalm moment. Abraham moves to Gerar and immediately tells King Abimelech that Sarah is his sister.
It's the Abrahamic glitch. And look at the stakes here. Sarah is literally about to have the child of promise. She is the carrier of the future of the human race. And Abraham, out of pure fear for his own skin, basically hands her over to another king's harem. Again.
It's so frustrating as a listener. Why do we keep making the same mistakes even after we've seen God's verified protection? I mean, we just saw the grab of grace in Sodom.
That's the modern mirror for today. Toxin-free faith takes time. Just because you're verified by God doesn't mean your old habits are automatically deleted. Abraham is still running on his fear OS when he gets into new territory. He assumes there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. He doesn't think the blue checkmark works in Gerar.
But God steps in again. He visits Abimelech in a dream and basically says, "You're a dead man if you touch her." And Abimelech, who honestly seems like a pretty stand-up guy, is like, "Lord, I did this in the integrity of my heart. He told me she was his sister."
Abimelech is the hero of the ethics in this chapter. But here is a hidden gem. In Genesis 20, verse 7, God calls Abraham a prophet.
A prophet? Usually, when I think of a prophet, I think of someone who is perfectly holy and yelling at people to repent. Abraham is currently caught in a massive lie. How is he a prophet?
Time for our 5th grade rule translation. A prophet isn't just a future teller. He's a God talker. He is someone who has the direct message access to God. God tells Abimelech, he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. It shows that God's choice to use Abraham isn't based on Abraham's performance. It's based on God's grace. Even while Abraham is glitching, God is still using him as a bridge.
That is so encouraging. It means our system errors don't disqualify us from being part of God's plan. But finally, and I mean finally, we hit Genesis 21. John, give me the sound effect for achievement unlocked.
Ding! Delivery confirmation.
Genesis 21, verse 1. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. 25 years of waiting. A quarter of a century of loading, spinning on the screen. And then, it happens. Isaac is born.
I love that word, visited. In the modern mirror, it's like the system update has finally arrived. God didn't forget. He didn't lag. He arrived exactly when the time was full. And Sarah's reaction is everything.
She says, "God has made laughter for me, Everyone who hears will laugh over me. John, we talked about her laughter in segment 1. Back then, it was a system error laugh. It was cynical. It was, yeah, right.
But now? Now, it's the joyful LOL. It's the laughter of someone who realized that nothing, not age, not glitch loops, not even her own doubt, is too hard for the Lord. She names the baby Isaac, which literally means laughter.
Every time she picks up that baby, she is holding the physical evidence of God's sense of humor and his faithfulness. It's the ultimate I told you so, but in the kindest way possible.
Exactly. Sarah went from eavesdropping and doubting to holding and delighting. And that's the big picture bridge for the day. God's promise is sturdy. It can handle our tent vision, it can handle our Sodom hesitation, and it can even handle our repeat mistakes. He is going to hit send on his promise, no matter how many times we try to cancel the order.
Man, what a day. We've covered a lot of emotional ground.
We really have. But we've seen that God is the first responder who grabs us, the profit maker who uses our mess, and the joy bringer who gives us the last laugh.
That brings us to the end of our Day 6 journey. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This transition from Sarah's doubt to Isaac's birth is it's the heartbeat of the whole year.
We really appreciate you listening in and walking through these chapters with us. It's been an intense ride today, but we're making it easier to understand, one grab of grace at a time.
Okay, John, it's that time. Give us the one-sentence text message summary for Day 6.
Text this to your group chat right now. God's timing isn't a lag. It's a strategy, and he is strong enough to grab us from our messes and transform our cynical doubts into joyful laughter.
I am definitely posting that as my caption today. Before you go, please take a second to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Have you ever had a Genesis 21 moment where something you thought was impossible finally delivered? We want to hear your joyful LOL stories.
We'll see you tomorrow for Day 7, where Abraham has to face the ultimate test of his faith. It's going to be a big one.
See you then. That brings us to the end of today's podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
We really appreciate you listening in and walking through these chapters with us.
Before you go, please take a second to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear how these modern mirrors are helping you see the text differently.
See you tomorrow for another exciting deep dive into the Word of the Lord. God bless.